Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new edition of EKN Face2Face. My name is Rob Howden, the editor-in-chief and publisher of ekartingnews.com. And joining me over there, I got it, David Cole, our managing editor, fresh back from vacation. David, you're looking good. Look at, you got a little sun. You were on the beach. You were on the golf course. I like it. Looking good.
Yeah, I won't show you the rest of the tan. I'll save our viewers that and my embarrassment. So
appreciate that, David. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a good week away from the laptop. So, every once in a while you kind of got to do that kind of refresh and not really a refresh because, again, I was with my two kids and wife and in-laws. So it's a busy week, but it's a good break from the computer wise.
From the computer. From the computer. Because
yeah.
Literally, as you know, folks, we get the notifications on our phone. Dave, so he didn't put notifications on. I literally went up one day to start putting some sharing to Instagram. And I'm looking, I'm like, it's already, what? You can't even stop working when you're on the beach.
Well, it was rainy one day, so I'm like, well, I'm getting notifications. I might as well share it because I don't know if you're getting them or if Nate Dean, our new editorial assistant, if he's getting them. We never really worked out the Instagram thing before I left. I'm just like, well, I might as well. I'm doing nothing right now. So, or sleeping in till 10. That was always, that was. Nice.
I was on the West Coast as well, so it was super early in the morning. Right. All that stuff rolled in. Although I was getting up early to make sure I was on top of it. Good to have you back, David. This edition of Face to Face, one of our favorites every year. We get a chance to talk to Roger Ruthhart from the Rock Island Grand Prix. It's an event that I, over the first 20 years, really, of my career, went to. My 1997, I think, was the first one I went to when I was with National Kart News, and then when I started Shifter Kart Illustrated. Of course, it being the home of the King of the Streets, that was kind of a core race that we went to every year. And then, of course, I announced that event for, I think, 15 years before the Road to Indy decided they were going to use Labor Day weekend for an event, and I ended up getting pulled away. You, on the other hand, David, I think you may have already passed me in terms of attendance at Rock Island. Is this the year, I wonder?
2004.
So you're at 18 already. This
is my 17.
Oh, you missed one.
Because you can't, because COVID, we all missed it.
Yeah, that's true.
This will be This should be the 17th if I do my math correct. I'll have to get the calculator out later.
I think you might have got me on this one now. So, for those of you who don't know about the Rock Island Grand Prix, shame on you. Number one, number two, it is essentially one of the bucket list races to do in karting in North America. A fantastic event, the Arts and Entertainment District of Rock Island, Illinois, the Quad Cities, right on the Mississippi, with Davenport, Bettendorf, and which one am I missing?
Moline.
That's right. So the four cities right on the Mississippi River, just on the border of Iowa and Illinois. An amazing race downtown. The hotel's downtown. There's a bunch of different hotels you can do, casino, restaurants, whatever it may be. And it's a relatively simple racetrack, 6 90-degree corners. But just the way the race, the weekend plays out, tons of track time. David, for you and I, we've raced it many times together. I've been in a shifter, a tag, a 206. It's just one of those fantastic weekends you have to do at least once in your career.
Do it while you're younger. I will advise that. Although the old guys do really well. Again, it's just.
I was a master when I started racing there.
I know, but that's why I'm telling you from experience, it's better to do it younger where you have no fear.
That's true.
And that's, again, because you always have to dial back the driving just a tad to give you that inch space going from wall to wall to wall. And so that's always the gamble. I mean, really, you talked about casino. It's a gamble. Every corner is a gamble. You got to hit the bumps just right. You got to get the exit points just right. And it's 6 different corners that all have different characteristics. Yeah. I mean, there are 5 left-hand turns and 1 right. So you think they're all the same. Well, the bumps are different. The barriers are laid out differently. The sidewalks are different each corner.
Entry speeds are different, right? Too.
Entry speeds are obviously different as well too. So it's more. It's not about equipment. It's really about the driver. It's about getting the driver tuned into the actual racetrack itself and being able to perform as best as you can without going over that limit.
That's it. Exactly. Again, I always talk about the fact that I'm not one of the guys that goes every year or wasn't in the seat a lot. So I always kind of took one turn at a time. I always kind of try to flat turn number 3 first, then 4, then back it up and kind of go to 2, then to 5, because man, it's a fast racetrack. especially back when I was driving shifters as a 2-year-old or 33-year-old. That was fun. In the rain, it was even better. Let's bring in Roger Ruthhart. He has essentially been the man at the head of this program, the committee that runs the Rock Island Grand Prix since its inception back so many years ago. We'll bring Roger in to join us here. Roger, thank you so much. Great to see your face once again. And I will say, you literally haven't aged at all in the 20 years, to be honest. Maybe a little grayer, but everything looks the same.
Yeah, it's thanks for saying that, but it's different. Every year gets a little bit more challenging, I think.
Yeah, I think the other 364 days don't age Roger as much as maybe Rock Island does that weekend, I think, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
So, again, obviously you heard us talk about the intro and about how much we love this race. We've been, there so many years. Myself or David have been there since 1997. So we're 25 years, I think, for ourselves. There were a couple years you didn't have it. This is the 27th year of the Rock Island Grand Prix. You guys have been really working hard over the last couple of years to keep the race interesting for people, right? You've been adding more programs. This year, you adding some more stuff as well. Let's just talk a little bit about right now, kind of the most recent moves. And that was kind of hooking up with the guys from NKA. Joe Janowski and his crew there with Christian Marsh. That was kind of a move to bring in some more structure, I think, and people to run the race for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That and just knowledge. Part of our challenge each year is we sit down in like December or January and try and decide what's going to be going on in karting for the next 9 months that we need to pay attention to. And it's difficult to do when you're a once a year race and you're trying to decide, well, here's what happened last year, what's going to happen this year, and what classes should we run, and what rules are changing, and all that. And that's our biggest challenge. It always has been. So having Joe and his crew involved certainly brings a lot more knowledge and interest and process and everything else to it, along with everything else they bring. So it's been a real positive thing for the event. I think it's been positive for NKA, and I don't know. I've known Joe forever.
The first winner of the King of the Streets.
Yeah, the first winner of the King of the Streets, and his dad was our insurance agent way back when. So, I mean, he's from Moline, so it's not like we're working with somebody we don't know anything about, and he's not afraid to tell us we need to do things different, or why don't you try this, or don't do that. So it's been real positive. I just, it's just if he was closer, I'd just give him more stuff to do,
Well, an interesting thing about it too, again, as we said, King of the Streets from 1997 down in Oklahoma, I believe was the first King of the Streets for Joe.
Right.
Yep.
But you look right now, the Stars Championship, which NKA runs, Joe Janowski, Christian March, as I mentioned, their Stars Championship's really starting to develop. And one of the places where it's getting really great numbers is in the shifter kart categories. And we're seeing it, I don't want to say it's like a regional program, but it's a lot of drivers that you may not see go to a SCUSA Pro Tour race or something like that in the pro shifter class. These guys love running the shifter category, and they're getting huge numbers. And I think that bodes well. Those are the kind of guys you want to have come out and have fun at the King of the Streets, right? Because I'll tell you, folks, Rock Island's a badass racetrack with a shifter, because you got to carry a lot of corner speed. You're grabbing gears. There's no hairpins. It's a little easier on the body to a certain extent. It's fun to drive. But Roger, the King of the Streets has always been one of those core components for the fans at this race.
Oh, absolutely. And from the racer's perspective, I don't think we use the bottom gears at all on our track, do we? Except to start, maybe?
I don't think so. Yeah, exactly.
So, each you're talking about earlier about the track design and things like that. What's different here, I think, is that it's not a track that you race anywhere else. Some of our streets are concrete, and some of them are asphalt. Some of them have a crown to them, and some of them are flat. Some of them are tree lined and in the shade all day, and other parts are in the sun all day.
That's very true.
And then you have the whole issue that when we start, there's no rubber on the track. So every time you go out there, there's more rubber than last time you were out there. So that changes throughout the weekend too. So it's a little different to get used to, but it's in its own way, it's just as challenging as being on a regular kart track.
Do you think you talked about classes and kind of trying to gauge what the first 9 months of the year are going to do? Do you think the insertion of Briggs & Stratton 206 program, do you think that's kind of helped set the baseline every year for categories at the Rock Island Grand Prix? Because as we know, as we've seen, Briggs classes are a majority of the classes offered at the race.
Right. And I think, honestly, I think that whole Briggs program has been good for karting. It's a lot easier to get into a sport you don't really understand when you're at a more basic level. I can tell you stories about guys that showed up here and pulled a shifter cart out of the box and they'd never driven it before. So those are the fears I have every night, But between the Briggs program, the 206s, and the Ignite, we have a good solid base of racers and a good program for our spectators to see. But then we mix in the other stuff with it, the vintage carts, the shifters, all of that. Everything's a little bit different and unique, and that's part of what we try to do here, because unlike a lot of kart races, we are just as concerned about what are we doing for the spectators as we are what are we doing for the racers. And we want them to both leave here just happy as can be and ready to come back in next year.
Well, so there's two things I'll bring up right now. The first is spectators. That's one of the things, folks. If you've never raced in front of spectators, this is a cool event. It's a spectator event all the way around the racetrack. There will be people lined up, lawn chairs, coolers, you name it. They're there to watch you guys race. So it's a really cool atmosphere. And you talked about bringing in different things for the fans, Roger. Let's talk a little bit about, you sent some notes to David and I, which I found was interesting. You guys are having a bit of an electric kart exhibition going on. There's been a lot of talk. Obviously, Rotax has their E20 program. There's guys that are working on electric karts around the country and around the world. What do you guys have going electric-wise for this year?
Well, we had a company that is converting Burrell karts to electric, and they first reached out to us and said, well, are we eligible in your open class? Well, we haven't run the open class in probably 4 or 5 years.
True.
Because it just never, we had, maybe 2 or 3 engine builders that really liked it, but it never really caught on. So we said, well, what can we run you with? And they didn't really know. They said, well, we run really fast, but we've never really run against a gas kart. So we said, well, let's plan some kind of exhibition and at least let the spectators and the other racers see what an electric powered, kart is like. So they say it's fast. They say, but it probably only will do 10 laps, maybe less, and we'll have to charge it up again. So it's all new for us. It's all going to be all new for everybody else. But I think for the sport of karting, it's good to take a look at these things and say, well, is this part of the future, or is it kind of not? So we're going to be running those on an exhibition race on both Saturday and Sunday. They'll be running practice too, so we'll find out then how fast they can go. And
it's good to say. Let's get some lap times.
Yeah, and
so do you maybe find out how fast they are and get them into a class next year? Is it maybe KA100 / electric kart?
Yeah, I don't know, and we'd have to see what happens, how many there are, where they are, if they want to travel here, and all those sort of things. So I know there are a couple, I think, electric kart leagues or whatever, but none of them have ever pushed us. These guys are out of Chicago, so I'm pretty sure they'll show up. So it'll just be a really fun addition to the event, I think.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3600 3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for 2022 include the Ignite Majors, featuring events at the Daytona International Speedway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Quincy Grand Prix, Newcastle Motorsports Park, and the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the 5-round regionally based Ignite Challenge at tracks in Illinois, Ohio, and Missouri. Local club programs have also been established in other states like Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, New York, Florida, and more. Join Margay Racing for some fast, fun, and great memories at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. I like it. Let's talk a little bit about one of the things you guys brought out last couple of years. We talked about the King of the Streets and how it's been around for 20 plus years. That was kind of the focus for shifter kart drivers. Well, obviously, really the core of Rock Island over the many years has been the 4-cycle and 2-cycle classes. The local guys run those classes. A lot of times for the shifters, it's guys coming in from outside the core area around Rock Island and the clubs that really support this event. You guys brought up the King of the Rock, one for 4-cycle, one for 2-cycle. And that's been something I think really big. Michael Dittmer winning last year in the 4-cycle category and Race Liberante winning in the 2-cycle class last year, along with Andrew Bodozo winning King of the Streets. All three of those drivers, when we put the article up about the King of the Rock and King of the Streets, they jumped in and said they're coming back to defend. Race Liberante wants to win all three. Let's talk about that King of the Rock. That was, I think, a really stroke of brilliance to kind of give that cool marquee event for the guys in 206 and the guys in 2-cycle.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's part of what we offer. I'll give all the credit for the idea to Joe Janowski, who said, you guys got this wonderful program with King of the Streets, and I said, well, I don't want to have 3 classes called King of the Streets because the one that's known is what it is. So we came up with the King of the Rock concept, and I think it's again, it's something that just is a little bit different and unique at Rock Island.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Let's talk about the trophy itself. You hear us talk about the Rock. There are some really obviously amazing trophies in our sport, the Duffy being one of them, that's been around forever with the IKF. 20-something years, so Roger, for winning the Rock. It's a trophy that a lot of people, especially in that area, look and say, man, this is one of the I want in the collection. Let's talk about, where did the Rock come from anyways? Who came up with that idea? When did it start? And where do you get the rocks from?
Well, we actually have a company that manufactures them for us,
right.
Believe that or not. I mean, I think they normally do pieces for yard. What's the word I want?
Yard work,
yard
landscaping.
Landscaping. You want a special rock in your yard. They'll do it for you. But the real reality behind the whole thing goes way back, probably, I guess it'd be the early 2000s when Tom Argy was our race director.
Yep.
And I was having a conversation after the race. I said, well, during the off season, the city's going to come in and they're going to tear up this whole street and repave it. And his response was, well, you ought to save chunks of that street and make that your trophies and just call it a rock. And that's kind of, where the idea came from. We didn't actually tear up street pieces and try and make them into trophies. We did something a little neater than that. But, he gets all the credit for the idea. And we did find a local company that, that makes them. And I know most people would just, love to have just that one rock. And I know there's some people that probably have a whole room full. So
like Tony Nielsen, the guy could build
like
a house.
Tony Nielsen, that'd
he
be
can build a
one.
house. He's got so many.
Yep.
Gary Lawson.
Gary
as
Lawson
well.
would be another one.
Yeah. Yep.
But it is a special trophy. It's not like anything else, and people do really do want to take one home.
Yeah, David's been chasing one for a while. So close a couple times, DC. So close.
Close.
Let's talk about one of the other awards that you guys are doing this year. It's a Team of the Year program. I mean, probably a Track of the Year program. Again, so many racers come from around the country, different areas. A lot of times they'll come in packs. We've seen that many times. I remember back in the day when the guys from Minnesota would all come down. The Rowe brothers would bring guys down. There were groups that would come from Canada or wherever. Texas, always a big group from Texas. Used to come up to the Rock Island Grand Prix to chase the King of the Streets and the other categories as well. This is kind of new. The Rock Island Grand Prix Track of the Year. So essentially, fill us in a little bit of how this is going to work. But at the end of the weekend, depending on how the drivers have worked from each track, one track's going to go away with a banner saying they were the Track of the Year this year's race.
Right. And the idea behind it is, we have this unique collection of racers that are everything from, top shifter kart drivers down to the vintage guys and the 206s and 100 cc's and all that. And we have the best drivers in the country in some cases, and we have some guys that have one race a year that they don't race at their own track, and that's when they come to Rock Island. And so we thought it would be more encouraging to challenge people to come here if they knew they were coming with people from their own track, or even if they're in different classes, they could at least compare notes, and maybe they've been here before and somebody else hadn't or whatever. But so we set up this concept where, you have to have at least 4 drivers in representing your track, and then how you finish in the race, first, second, third, whatever, gets you points based on how many drivers you have, and then it's divided by the number of drivers, and you come up with a number. So, I mean, it's not a hard concept to understand. It's just the idea is to just do something fun and give somebody another challenge that, I mean, even if they have, 5 guys from their track and they all finish 4th, well, they still might win the banner because they did better than everybody else. So
I like it. And wait, once it gets started, it gets rolling, right? Then somebody's going to come back in next year. We got to defend our honor, right? We got to defend this. I like it.
Yeah, and for us, I think it, hopefully will help us encourage a few more racers to come here and give everybody, once they go home with it for a year, they got bragging rights, and that's good for a lot in karting. So that's just something that we added this year, right? Last I heard, I think we had about 10 tracks that had people entered, but they still have to have, each one has to have 4 entries. So whether or not, I mean, I know North Texas and GoPro and people like that have drivers that are entered, but I don't know if they're going to be able to have, 4 or 5 drivers to compete with like 61 Cartway and concept haulers and places like that. We'll just have to see when the registration dust settles.
So one of the big things, obviously, that Rock Island had to deal with, like so many races, was the COVID pandemic. And I know it, because obviously we mentioned earlier that this race is held down in the Rock Island Arts and Entertainment District. So essentially where they are, with a hotel right downtown, all the restaurants, the bars, has always been kind of the lifeblood of the event, was the concerts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights down in the district, which we have all had a ton of fun at over the last couple of decades. Things are starting to come back, which is fantastic. And Roger, we talked before we came on here. You're talking a little bit about the fact that the restaurants are opening back up. People are coming back down a lot more. Tourism kind of stepping up as well, particularly in the sports area with, baseball teams, that kind of thing. Tournaments coming back into town. Your local sports teams as well. Obviously, racing, a big part of sports itself, motorsports. I see this, and I'm sure you do, as a big positive, seeing that this whole sports aspect of Rock Island kind of getting rejuvenated once again, right? Fueled back up. That probably speaks well for what we're going to see this Labor Day weekend. Yeah,
I mean, I hope so. We're seeing a lot of things happening downtown that we haven't seen for years. And as a race promoter, it's not all particularly exciting, but, we have some big construction projects that are near the track and some road projects, some we have, like I said, we're getting more vendors back for the weekend. We're going to have nightly concerts. I think it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday,
Okay.
Which are all things that, the people look forward to when they come here. That you stay at the hotel and you can you can stumble home from the concert or stumble home from working on your car till 2 in the morning.
What are you talking
Either
about?
one.
Stumble? What do you mean? Nightlife is a big part of Rock Island, folks. I'm telling you, it's David. We've had a great time with the last number of years. That's really what it's about. It's so close, and you're literally at the hotel. You walk, as Roger said, you walk out. It's a block and a half into the paddock area. It's like being at the Supernats. It's a shorter walk from your hotel to your cart than it is the Supernats from your hotel. To your cart.
Yeah, that's the part. It's the 8 a.m. Drivers meeting that Terry Riggins provides for us. That you barely get there at 8 o'clock, and you can leave your room at 7:55 and be there on time. So that's one of the positives of having that hotel there. But as he said, also there's Huckleberry's. There's all the other restaurants that are nearby that we tend to go to regularly every year we get there to Labor Day weekend. But and again, there's a lot of influx and a lot of changes going on in downtown Rock Island right now.
Here's a cool thing to throw out here too, folks. You can come in. The great thing about this is that the way that the structure's always run, that you can run different classes if you wanted as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bring a couple of different go-karts. We've seen guys, people in 4-cycle will run 2 or 3 classes, same in 2-cycle. Then we got Scott Skitchy Barnes. We'll bring him up right now. I messaged him to make sure. Yeah, the Rock Island Shuffle. Getting back from the hotel, getting from the bar or the concert to the hotel to the driver's meeting. That's the Rock Island Shuffle. I like that. Scott did say he's going to run between 9 and 10 classes this year. That's something we've seen a lot of guys do over the years, Roger. That's pretty cool to see somebody just want to be on track every possible session.
Yeah, and as the day goes on, you either get better or you get worse, and you can decide, how you're gonna approach the next race. But from the perspective of a race promoter, it's a scheduling nightmare. But we also try and we understand that there's guys, and Tony Nielsen's another one, eight or so classes a year. So we know who to look for, and their team. They have great teams that have the cart ready, and they get out there, and they just go through the scale on one cart and then ran back out to the start finish line for the next one. So, but that's again another thing that we offer that a lot of other events don't.
Let's take the time for those of you who may be watching this for the first time, maybe don't know a lot about the Rock Island Grand Prix. A number of years ago, it was normally just all practice on Saturday, and then you would qualify and race on Sunday after a morning warm-up kind of a thing. Or maybe qualifying on maybe Saturday afternoon was the last thing you did in the
Saturday,
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have moved it around a bit, Roger, where you've had some heat races, you've worked with essentially passing points, that kind of a thing. What's the structure for this year in terms of rate qualifying and racing?
Basically, it's going to be the same as last year, where we had qualifying for the King of the Rock and King of the Street races, and then everybody else ran heat races. So I think that's going to continue. We talked earlier about the electric kart race. I guess they're going to run a practice and then an exhibition. So it's pretty much the way it's going to be for, because I feel like we've sort of ironed things out a little bit, and the whole, heat races with passing points and all that is pretty unique to Rock Island too. But again, if you go out there and you gain 10 points in heat race, you get rewarded for it. So, or 10 positions. So, yeah, we're going to continue, I think, with that process until we come up with another one that's better.
So if you're not local, you can't say, I can't just hop in my car and travel there 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever. Maybe you're California, you're Pacific Northwest, Florida, Canada. There is a way you could do this and just fly into Rock Island. Super easy airport to fly into. Great hotel to stay at downtown, as I had said, or Jumer's Casino, wherever it is you want to stay.
Yep.
The race also part of the Margay Ignite Majors program, right? And a major event for the Ignite program with Margay. If you've watched EKN over many years, Cole and I have had a chance to race Rock Island before, thanks to the guys at Margay Racing in their Margay Ignite Spec program on the Briggs. Awesome program. But Roger and David, you can bring into this as well. It's an arrive and drive program. So if you don't want to haul your stuff up, you give Margay a call. They have everything for you. You just wake up in the morning, come in. They got a shared mechanic. You hop in and drive. It's the absolutely easiest way to go racing, in my opinion. David, you and I have both done it at the Battle of the Brickyard. Of course, I've done it at Rock Island as well. Roger, I know that your program with Margay is big. We'll go to David first. You've done it before, David. It's a great way to experience Rock Island.
Well, again, for somebody who's working the event as well, too, is I don't have to worry about making sure the cart's ready to go. I can just show up to the grid and the cart's there ready to go. Hop, kind of like, you guys were talking about the multiple drivers who have a crew that, take their carts from the scales into the grid, and they just have to hop from cart to cart. I just have to hop from laptop to cart and then cart to laptop. Yep. And all that stuff. That part made it easy, but it's also a fun factor too, because there's a wide range of experience, especially the first couple of years with the Ignite program at Rock Island. I want to say that was 2015. And so that was kind of the fun part of helping introduce the Rock Island experience to those who had never been there before. So you got, you have experienced racers who had never been there before. You have people who are brand new to the sport or you're racing against drivers who have been to every single Rock Island Grand Prix. So that's a really cool part about the program.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. The new face of competitive karting in the Pacific Northwest region is RaceLab. The full-service karting operation is located at the state-of-the-art Kartplex facility in Oliver, British Columbia, Canada, providing everything you need to hit the track or put yourself in a successful driver development program. RaceLab is the official North American distributor for the TB Kart chassis brand, providing the full range of models from kid kart to shifter kart. Villeneuve Racing Karts is their flagship product, available only through RaceLab. The brand carries the name of Formula One champion and Indianapolis 500 winner Jacques Villeneuve, with each model produced by TB Kart. Kartplex, the home of RaceLab, is situated on the grounds of the Area 27 Motorsports Park. From full arrive and drive TB Kart rentals to leagues and competition karting, the facility provides a new home to developing the future stars of motorsports, all beginning at Kartplex with RaceLab. Follow RaceLab on social media on Facebook and Instagram, or load up their website at www.theracelab.ca to learn more about TB Kart and Villeneuve Racing Karts. RaceLab. Race with us, win with us. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. What do you, Roger, talk a little bit about how Margay has been such a huge supporter of the Rock Island Grand Prix.
Well, I think even the greatest driver who's ever raced in karting, I'm not sure they've worked out of a tent with 20 or 30 drivers before. I mean, to me, that's just, my mouth just drops open when I walk in and see how not only how large it is, but how well organized and they got all the pieces and parts and everything else, and the bodies to help, the mechanics to help and all that. It's just an amazing program that I'm sure gets better every year, but has been they've been great partners for us. So yeah, we look forward to having it back. We switched a couple of years ago to Hoosier Tires, and that's been a big positive too, working with Margate on that aspect of the event. So yeah, I mean, every year that's one thing you do. They're just going to show up, set up their tent, and be ready to go.
All right, let's go back a little bit, David. You bring this thing up in a couple of seconds. It's going to cover Roger over. We got a question from Todd Bolton, and I like this because we talked about the different approach to the weekend. Let's bring this question in, David, and we'll have a quick chat. There it is. This is from Todd Bolton, who, of course, has won his share of races at Rock Island. He says, ever thought about the old school P-pick and race? We're big P-pick fans. I love that. This gives the average Joe a fighting chance to say, hey, I beat Tony Nielsen or I beat Dittmer. If those guys draw bad, an average guy draws pole. What about that thought? What about doing a P-pick? You ever thought about that, Roger?
Isn't that what we've been doing in some of the races? I think it is.
Well, that's what we do for the heat race.
Right.
And so that allows, you start where you draw on the P pick, and then you use the points and finishing position to line you up for the main event. And so, I mean, essentially we are doing P pick. I mean, that's what we've been doing since.
But not for the race itself, right?
But not for the main event, obviously. Yeah. But,
just to start the heat
because
race.
People wanted more than that main event. I think that's the other dilemma too, is people don't just want to qualify and race. They wanted to race more within that category. And so that's when the heat races came into play. Well, they're like, how are you going to line them up? Well, P-pick. And that's kind of what we've been doing since I almost think it was when Ignite started coming back.
Yeah, but the only thing that messes that up when you do P-pick and then go by the points, passing points, it allows somebody to start last, even get midway through and get a lot of points. The P-pick, I think if you did a deal where wherever you finish is where you started, that would be an interesting thing too. Just a different idea, obviously, about trying to. Todd said maybe give some guys the opportunity to, instead of qualifying last, qualify.
Believe me, we've seen, and I'll be the one. I mean, Todd's seen more races there than I have, but I've seen every race ever since doing this format. And the guys who start up front, they eventually lose to those guys who come up through the field. I mean, that's still the battle is trying to beat the guys who are going to be good there every single year. That's always the battle with Rock Island. Again, we go to Vegas, we go to Newcastle, any other racetracks, guys are going to stand out among others, no matter where you start or how far back they start.
The cream rises to the top.
They do
at Rock Island because it's the difference in corner speeds. Like I always say when I go there, I know that I'm going to be 5% or 10% slower in at least one corner than Tony Nielsen. He's going to commit more in turn one than I'm going to commit in turn one because I know I have to work on Monday morning and I know I don't have the talent of Tony Nielsen. So he's going to be able to pull away unless I get the draft, right? It is what it is. But again, another idea just from Todd Bolton. Again, another guy that we've watched for many, many years race at Rock Island. I'd love to hear the input. Roger, let's cap this thing off. One of the things, and this is near and dear to my heart to a certain extent because I had so many great years. Really, one of the very first national races I announced was at Rock Island. Bob Wilson, I want to say Bob Wilson came up to you and said, here's $100. Yep. Please let Rob do the shifter cart category. So Bob Wilson, shout out to him. And he brings this up every time I have a beer with him at at Road America. Who do you have lined up this year? I know that obviously I wasn't able to be there last couple of years. You've had different people in positions of doing the announcing. What's the team look like on the PA this year for Rock Island?
Well, last year we made an interesting change, and it was probably one of the most popular things that we did all year among the racers and spectators, and that is we went to 2 announcers. And so we had 2 different guys. One was a racer, one was a sports caster from the local TV station. But basically, they could just go off and talk to the racers. They could talk to each other. They could, one guy could take a race off and let the other guy announce. We tried a lot of different things, but the whole idea was to, create more energy and more excitement going on. As you guys both know, with our track the way it's set up the way it is, and the announcers are at the start-finish line, there's 5 blocks you can't see. So you're either dead quiet, or maybe you're talking to the other guy about who's going to come around the next corner, or. So last year we kicked that off, and it was really successful. We have one of those announcers back this year, Jake Hidwell from WHBF, and Dave McIntyre is going to work with him. But Dave's been coming to our race probably at least 10 years or so, just as a spectator and fan, and hoping someday, we would need an announcer and he'd be there. But he's a great announcer, a lot of good impact and knowledge, and I think the two of them working together is going to be as good or maybe better as last year. And we're certainly, people can tune into eKarting News and see how it goes, I guess. But it really, I think, sort of elevates the energy of the weekend.
Yeah, we'll have the whole streaming. We'll say that too. David, of course, will be trackside all weekend long to provide coverage, social media, on daily race reports. We'll be streaming it on the EKN Radio Network. If you have the EKN Radio Network app downloaded to your mobile device, you'll be able to listen to the Rock Island Grand Prix coverage throughout the weekend. And maybe we'll set our video up again like we did last year. I know we did that as well. Roger, let's wrap things up here. We're talking about the Rock Island Grand Prix, the Labor Day Classic. Anything else that we're missing right now, or is it almost time to get back to racing? We're only, 3 weeks away, right?
Yeah, we're 3 weeks away. And this is, the time of year that we get deluged with entries. But I just encourage everybody to be sure and plan to come and enter. I know fuel prices have been challenging this summer, but they're coming down. And as you mentioned, you can fly in if you want to.
Yep.
So it's not hard to get here. It's just, the Moline Airport, you can get in from a lot of different areas. So we're just hoping that, we'll have a good number of racers to put on a good show and, entertain the spectators and give the race teams, some excitement like they've never had before.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things. Every year is kind of up and down, and we need the teams to support the event to keep the event moving forward.
That's it. It takes the industry to get in there and get behind it and fuel it with the excitement, bring the racers there. Obviously, the COVID pandemic is kind of behind us right now, so people are getting back outside. We talked about the sports teams and all the great excitement that's come into Rock Island in terms of that side, baseball, whatever it may be. The fans are going to be back out in droves. Traditionally getting a pretty good weekend too. I think I've raced in the rain there a couple times, but man, it's normally pretty good weather in Rock Island over Labor Day weekend. So I expect to see lots of people out for this one here. The big teams are coming out, of course, working with NKA, Joe Janowski and his crew. Terry Riggins will be there, obviously. So it's going to be that locked and loaded group of people. David, anything last from you? I know you're going back for number 18 or something like that for you. Should be fun to be there again.
Yeah, 18th time that I will be at Rock Island. Again, everyone except for 2020 since 2004. So, yeah, just again, excited to be there again, to see the familiar faces that we see year in and year out. And excited to again, it's those main events on Sunday that, it's that bring the excitement and seeing the fans along the fence. There's so many different unique aspects about Rock Island that make you want to go there every year.
Exactly that. And yes, eKartingNews.com. Our gear will be there as well. All of our swag with Styled Aesthetic. Heidi Welk will be there with the crew. So if you haven't picked up one of the shirts, David's got one on. I'm wearing one too. If you want to pick up one of our new shirts, everything's going to be there. Rock Island as well. Roger, I'm waiting for the day that I get to come back. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in Portland that weekend once again, listening on the EKN Radio Network. I'll be back for sure. Before it's all over, I will be back because I know it's been 25 years since I've been there, or since I started coming there. Such a great race. I love Rock Island, and I'm hoping that sooner or later I'll get a chance to get back on track.
Well, I hope so too. I mean, it's every year is a new adventure, and we've managed to make it through 27 of them. And as we talked about earlier, there's been a lot of ups and downs, whether there's been recessions or COVID or changes in the industry. I mean, there was a time there when we hardly had any shifters anywhere. So all these things, kind of ebb and flow, and we've somehow made it through all of them, but it gets a little bit more challenging every year. And especially as we get older, right?
That's it. That's it. All right, racers, look around your office right now. Look around your house. Look at that trophy case that you have, and you'll see some trophies. Maybe you've won a Duffy. Maybe you've got a WK Eagle or something like that. If you don't have a rock, you ain't racing yet. You got to get one of those. As Matt Payway once said, no, I'm not saying it. I won't say it.
This
Matt,
is the only trophy I have.
I actually have an honorary rock that Roger gave me many years ago for comeback of the race, I think, or something like that, when I wrecked and came back. But listen, if you don't have a rock yet, this is one you want to get.
Book it into the bales. Get it right.
Book it into the bales. I've been in the bales before. I'll tell you this right now. Again, this is a bucket list race. If you've never been to Rock Island, make sure you do it. Don't go throughout your racing career and not have a chance to enjoy this racetrack. Number one, it's a fun track to drive. The people are second to none, and the event itself is not unlike anything you've ever driven before. So make sure you put it on your list. Rock Island Grand Prix Labor Day weekend. Roger, thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for all your support all the time.
Fantastic friend of eCardyNews.com. And of course, before that, Shifter Card Illustrated, Supercard Illustrated, Roger Ruthhart. Thank you so much. David, let's drop him in the back. Roger, you hang out. We'll say goodbye before we go. Dude, 18 years for you. I did 15 or 16 or 17 earlier on, whatever it was. You've raced there. I've raced there. Truly one of the most fun weekends you will ever have. And I've said this before. They quoted me on and off the racetrack. It's the best weekend.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be in the past. Again, as he said, it's had its ebbs and flows, but it's still, again, we make it a good time. Again, that's the great thing about karters is no matter where we are, we make sure we have a good time. And Rock Island provides that both on and off the racetrack. Again, you have to just do it and be there at least once to experience it and understand it. Because really, if you haven't been there, again, it's not like Super Nationals. It's not like any other street race that you've been to or any other temporary circuit that you've been to. It just has that uniqueness and all the different characteristics that, again, there's a lot of history surrounding it. Again, a lot of the racers that are racing now weren't even born yet when the first Rock Island hit. So
before you went to your first one too, dude.
I was in high school in 1997, the first year that it was so.
Here's the map for if somebody's having trouble. Here's a Friday night map. Hotel, Huckleberries, concert, old time tap, bed.
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
You can do that three weeks in a row or 3 nights in a row. I mean, again, and don't forget the Mexican place.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if Daiquiri Factory is open yet anymore or not, but but Ribco as well, the Rock Island Brewing Company. Yeah, that's a good stop to go to again.
Awesome.
And so looking forward to hearing the concerts. I know last year it wasn't. Again, COVID was still part of. Again, it was Illinois. You're in Illinois, and they had the Illinois guidelines, so that kind of hurt things. So I hope this year will be obviously different.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully get a chance to join everybody at the Rock Island Grand Prix this weekend. I'll get back as soon as I possibly can. David Cole will be there, as we said. EKN Trackside Live coverage all weekend long. The EKN booth will be there as well with Styled Aesthetic if you want to pick up some EKN gear. And again, tune in on EKN, the Radio Network app. You can download that to your mobile device. We do appreciate it. Big thank you to Roger Ruthhart for joining us once again. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.